Hello, students. I am JV'n Nehal Mittal, and your topic for today is defamation. So, defamation is injury to the reputation of a person. If a person injures the reputation of another, he does so at his own risk, as in the case of an interference with the property. So, a man's reputation is his property, and if possible, it is more valuable than other property. So, any intentional false communication, either that is written or spoken, that harms a person's reputation decreases the respect, regard, or confidence in which a person is held, or it induces disparaging, hostile, or disagreeable opinions or feelings against a person, is called defamation. So, a man's reputation is considered valuable property, and every man has a right to protect his reputation. This right is acknowledged as an inherent personal right and is a jus in rem, that is, a right good against all persons in the world. So, defamation refers to any oral or written statement made by a person which damages the reputation of another person. So, as per Black's Law Dictionary, defamation means the offense of injuring a person's character, fame, or reputation by false and malicious statements. So, if the statement made is written in is published, then it is libel. If the defamatory statement is spoken, then it is slander. So, the difference between libel and slander is about the written and spoken. So when you talk about difference between defamation as a tort, it is a civil wrong, and when you talk about defamation as a crime, it is a criminal offense which is bailable, non-cognizable, and compoundable. A defamation as a tort is based on tort law, an area of law which has no statutes to define wrongs and relies completely on case laws to define wrongs. Then, in defamation as crime, it has been defined as an offense under Section 499, and the punishment for the same is given in Section 500 of Indian Penal Code. Then, defamation as a tort provides redressor to the plaintiff by awarding damages in form of monetary compensation from the accused. In defamation as a crime, it seeks to punish the offender and send a message to the society not to commit such an offense. Now, defamation damages are awarded on the basis of probability, and defamation as a crime, the offense of defamation has to be established beyond a reasonable doubt. Defamation as a tort is generally a slow process to seek relief in India, and defamation as a crime, in this, the plaintiff can move to criminal court and asks the offender to take cognizance of his complaint. Now, defamation as a tort is a person's found guilty can be penalized only by making him pay damages, and in defamation as a crime, a person found guilty can be punished with imprisonment up to 2 years or fine or with both. Now let's check the difference between libel and slander. So when you talk about libel, libel is addressed to the eyes, and when you talk about slander, slander is addressed to the ears. So the defamatory statement is made in some permanent and it is visible form, such as in writing, in printing, in pictures, and the slander state defamatory statement is made by the spoken words or some other transitory form, whether visible or audible, such as gestures, hissing, or such other things. So, when you talk about libel, it is an actionable tort as well as a criminal offense, and slander, it is a civil injury only and not a criminal offense except in certain cases. Now, libel is an actionable per se, that is in itself, that is without proof of actual damage, and slander is actionable only on proof of actual damage. Now, essentials of defamation. So, the first essential is the statement should be made. So, a statement can be made by words either spoken or intended to be read, or by signs or by visible representation. For example, A has asked who stole B's diamond ring. So, A is asked who stole B diamond's ring. So, A points to C, that C has stolen the B's diamond ring, intending to cause everybody to believe that C stole the diamond ring. So, this is defamation. So, the statement should be made by either words or by intended to read or by signs or by visible representation. Then, the next essential is the statement must refer to the plaintiff. So, the defamatory statement must also refer to the person, class, or persons or the trustees of a company. So, the reference may be express or implied. It is not necessary that the plaintiff has to be mentioned by name if he can still be recognized. So, the person referred to in the defamatory statement can be living also or could be dead. However, the defamation suit on behalf of a dead person can be filed only if the person filing the suit has interest. Then there is a statement that must be defamatory. So the defamation starts with someone who is making a statement, and any person who makes a defamatory statement can be held liable for defamation. A defamatory statement tends to diminish the good opinion the others hold about the person, and it has the tendency to make others look at him with a feeling of hatred, ridicule, fear, or dislike. Abusive language may also be defamatory. For example, to call a man hypocrite or a habitual drunkard. So, the next is the intention of the wrongdoer. So, the person who is making the defamatory statement, if he knows that there are high chances of other people believing the statement to be true, it will result in causing injury to the reputation of the persons defamed. The next essential is statement should be false. So this statement that is made should be false also. So this defamatory statement should be false because the truth is a defense to defamation. So if the statement made is true, then there is no defamation, as the falsity of the statement is an essential ingredient of defamation. So law does not punish anyone for speaking the truth, even if it is ugly. Now the next essential for defamation is the statement should be privileged. So if in some cases the statement may be privileged, that is, the person who has made the statement is protected by from such liability. Next is the statement must be published. So for defamation to occur, the statement should be published. The statement should be communicated to a third party. A statement written in a personal diary or sent as a personal message does not amount to defamation. But if the sender knows that it is likely that the third person may read it, then it amounts to defamation. So in this case, Mahendra Ram versus Harnadan Prasad, the defendant was held liable because he had sent a defamatory letter written in Urdu despite knowing the fact that the plaintiff could not read Urdu, and ultimately the letter will be read by someone else. The next essential is the third party believes the defamatory matter to be true. So the other people of the society believe that the defamatory matter said about the plaintiff is true. The next essential is the statement must cause some injury. So the statement made should harm or injure the plaintiff in some way. For example, the plaintiff lost his job because of the statement made. Now, there are certain defenses also available for defamation. So, these are three defenses. The first one is justification of truth, the next is fair comment, and after that is privileged. So, when you talk about justification or truth, truth is an absolute defense. So, if the statement made is authentic, then it does not constitute defamation. So, the burden of proof is on the defendant who is claiming the defense that the statement made. So, for instance, X makes a statement in an interview about Y indulging in gambling, and Y files a suit against him. So, if X is able to justify or prove it, then Y claim will be dismissed. So, after this, the next defamation defense is fair comment. So the comment must be an expression of opinion rather than assertion of fact. The comment must be fair and it should be without any malice, without any bad intention. The matter commented upon must be of public interest. The next is privilege. So there are certain occasions when the law recognizes the right of freedom of speech outweighs the plaintiff's right to reputation. The law treats those occasions as privileged. So these are absolute privilege or qualified privilege. So no action lies for the defamatory statement even though the statement is false or made maliciously. So this applies to parliamentary privilege, judicial proceedings, and state communication. Now, in qualified privilege, it is necessary that the statement must have been without malice. The defendant has to prove that statement was made on a privileged occasion fairly. That's all. Thank you.